Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Woodbine Mohawk Park as a new week of harness action kicks off with our first of 5 race nights this week. Under some pretty good-looking conditions. We've got the sun peeking out, mixed in with some cloud, but it's still a warm summer night, 25 degrees Celsius, 77 Fahrenheit, northwest wind with 17 kilometers an hour. That shouldn't be too bad for anybody. Fast track for the 11 dashes that we've got, dominated by pacing dashes, although Mondays a lot of times we do see quite a few trotters on the card, but not so much here tonight because we do have the Ontario Sires Stakes back in action, this time grassroots opening leg for the 2-year-old pacing fillies. And keep in mind, as we've seen over the years, there will be some great horses, stakes winners that are likely going to begin their careers at the grassroots before ultimately heading off to the gold, a common practice by many horsemen over the years. We also have a preferred trot coming up later on the card. Let's get you caught up with the changes before we head downstairs to the studio with Randy and John. Race number 1 is one of those grassroots divisions, 75 grand guaranteed in the early pick 5. You can take out number 8, Gemini Hanover. That one has been scratched out of the opener, number 8, Gemini Hanover. Race number 2, the 2, I Believe in Angels, adds a screen to number 2, I Believe in Angels. 4, Incantation, scratch 6. Number 8, the Green Book, Judges Transportation, scratch. Take out the 4 and 8 out of race 2. Third race, starting the early pick 4, where number 2, Century Inspector, removes the blinkers to open on 2, Century Inspector. Scratch number 3, Larry Carr, Judges scratch a 3, Larry Carr in race 3 to kick off the early pick 4. Fourth race, starting the pick 6. Another grassroots division for the rookie pacing fillies. Take out number 5, Romantic Beauty. She has come up 6. Scratch 6 is 5, Romantic Beauty from the 4th. Race 5, number 2, Wanda's Wonder. Changes the shoes up front from aluminum to barefoot and behind steel to barefoot. So aluminum to barefoot, steel to barefoot. Bottom line is going barefoot all around is the 2, Wanda's Wonder. Number 8, Cold Snap, steel to aluminum up front and aluminum to steel behind. Steel to aluminum up front, aluminum to steel behind on the 8, Cold Snaps in race 5. Sixth race, starting the late pick 5. Third grassroots division, no changes there. We're all clear. Seventh race, no changes. Race 8 to begin the late pick 4. It's our final grassroots division. The 5, Chicanery, goes blinkers to blind. The bridle change on 5, Chicanery in race number 8 to kick off the late pick 4. Ninth race, $36,000 preferred trot. No changes in the race itself as far as the horses are concerned. The wagering profile altered slightly with show wagering removed. No show wagering available in race 9. 10th race, no changes. 11th and final, Jackpot High 5 available to play. No changes in the race. The carryover for the High 5, more than $28,500 coming into this evening. We've got a solid 11-pack under ideal conditions. Good luck with all your wagers, everybody. Downstairs we go to learn more about the card with Randy and John. Enjoy.
Campbell still the best, 19 in a row. Campbell.
Down to the wire. Amity Chef wins the Simcoe Stakes.
He's big, he's strong, and he has got it going on. Cup 25, Canada's horse. Something somewhere.
Yeah, motivated on focus.
There, up and pacing.
This is the moment. Gotta one on my opponent.
McWicked on the outside.
Gotta get it the mindset. Gotta put it in motion.
You gotta be kidding me. TCI wins the million.
Game time that I'm coming in clutch. No hang time, and they can't keep up. The game's on the line. Seconds.
Lean back. Get your picture taken.
Crowning moment on Canadian soil for Bulldog Hanover.
Motivated on focus.
A late push from Confederate. It's my show. Wins the big show.
This is the moment.
We're back here at racing at Woodbine Mohawk Park. It's another week here. I leave the hot and I come back to more heat. But suffering with me here is my Hall of Fame co-host Randy Waples, and just needs to get a little bit cooler. Just a little bit.
Yeah, I'll say it's like an oven in here, isn't it?
It's pretty hot.
Yeah,
it's pretty hot
for sure. Well, you've probably gone up your whole life there being considered hot, but this is one of the first times for me.
You know what? Not by looks, but I'll tell you one
that's
thing.
what I meant.
But working in the restaurant, I'll tell you, I worked in a kitchen, no air conditioned, worked right by the
fryers?
the charcoal and the fryers.
Oh.
You just shed weight working there every day, just sweating.
Is that why every time you walk into a restaurant there, usually the short order cook there is usually thin as can be?
Probably
just
why.
because you just can't deal with it?
Don't know how my parents were able to do it for years, but all I did was complain every day, and I think I had one case of waters designated for me the entire night.
Yeah, really?
I keep Rose pretty busy in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Every couple races, she's always
for
handing me
sure.
a water.
Yeah.
Without her, I don't know. It's how I keep hydrated.
Yeah, after you've worked here a couple of nights, she's making the Costco run for more water.
Yeah. I think I've definitely doubled the water sales, but she's provided plenty as an assist as well. So shout out to the kitchen there. Shout out to Rose and Al and everybody who does a great job over there. But lots of the heat. Obviously we have some heat, but we've had some pretty hot miles over the last couple of nights as well. We've seen some really good performances and races. The Meadowlands, I was there in person, and I was able to see some of those big performances, and we got to see some graduate action, Randy, and that was quite the performances by Sabonis, as well as Wari Michelle, who were both excellent in defeat. And we're going to take a look at the pacing graduate first, as we can see Sabonis, who parked out our local favorite, Nijinsky.
Were you surprised that Dexter took him on?
I think Dexter would have loved to have him clear. I just don't
wasn't
think,
really. Yeah.
You know what?
He didn't come with the authority that he normally
exactly.
does. Yeah.
Nijinsky, usually we see a bit more authority in terms of him being able to clear in a spot like that. I know they were going quickly, but we know Nijinsky's got the ability to go past.
Still raced good though.
Still raced super. Hung on for third in that race, and Sabonis, he was super in victory as well. A couple of lackluster performances kind of showed last week that he was hinting at a big mile, and we saw that here this evening.
Yeah, another Merlin move by Brett Pelling. As far as I'm concerned, anyway, that's why he's one of the greatest that we'll ever see.
Completely agree. I mean, just when you think a horse might be down in the count, he's just going to say,
no,
take that. Yeah, it's funny. Dex actually spoke how confident he was in Sabonis. They made, I think they added a line pole on the right side, and he just said, "Don't worry, mate." That's what he said to Pelling. He'll be good.
Yeah.
And he was really, really good. And another horse who was good here. How about the two mares finishing 1-2, Randy, here in the Graduate Series final trot? Wari Michelle and Elise de Hanover. Never saw a set of pylons.
No, this is Elise de Hanover, though. Does she have a small case of seconditis? Because I've never seen a horse that could look so good finishing second week after week. You know what I mean?
Some tough trips, though, every week, though, too,
Seems
right?
like it. But even when she doesn't get them, it seems like she comes 1,000 miles an hour on the end of it and then falls a nose short.
Yeah, but just obviously deserves a lot better. But I tell you one thing, when you see the trotting mares, which is no surprise, we've seen it with Jiggy Jog and whatnot, but when the trotting mares can be that much competitive with the guys, I mean, it just makes her a much deeper division. I believe that's the second mare in 3 years to win the Graduate Series final trot. I want to say it is.
Elise de Hanover is the best international money that I've ever saw.
She's a looker.
She's the best horse, too.
Yeah.
She seems to try a little harder than some of them.
Yeah, and another one that Annie Stobie was able to debut on the weekend, Diabolic Hill, a 2-year-old. It won. It was a little quirky, though, a little bit. Andy McCarthy likes to say he's a little naughty.
Right.
But I tell you, when he's straight, he can motor home. He's going to be racing in a New Jersey Sire Stake division this weekend as well. So we get another chance to look at another potentially really good 2-year-old.
Little naughty.
I
like that. That's good one. Tell Andy I'm going to borrow that off him.
I think you're good. I think you'd be more than willing to borrow that. I think you'd love to even call more than just horses pretty naughty there. All right, we're going to look at some stats and standings here from the weekend. I got a chance to catch up on some action over the weekend. Some nice performances by, how about Bojangles?
Whoa, my goodness.
Nice pacing quote there. And we could see Bobby McClure on this graphic as well, who guided Bojangles to a dominant score. If the qualifiers were any indication, Randy, we knew he was going to be sitting on a big effort.
Yeah, I mean, he was amazing. Really, really was amazing. He just like a fountain of youth, I would say, for Doc Moore, because I think Doc Moore realizes once again he's got himself another real nice horse on his hands.
Yeah, I know that some people are kind of ready to anoint him maybe the Metro champion.
That's
Horse
way too
Players
early.
Journal, Garnet Barnsdale, he's on record saying, write him the check.
Yeah,
that's
good for him.
But
I'm gonna do the sit and wait.
Bold statement, but one thing we can all agree on is that was a really impressive debut.
Very impressive. I mean, you couldn't have wanted anything more.
And you're going to look at the list of the trainers here. Tony Beaton, who was over at the Meadowlands too, watching Nijinsky, sending over Nijinsky to compete. He'll be back next weekend for the Houghton as well. Dave Maneri, just ho-hum for Dave. He's having an exceptional campaign.
He is having a really, really big go, and Greg McNair sticking right on that leadership board.
Yep, he's not. He's going to send out, obviously, that 2-year-old that he was going to send out tonight. It's too bad that one is scratched.
Yeah, it's great family for them.
Great family, absolutely.
Yeah.
So one that I was looking forward to watch. Didn't have maybe pegged as highly as some other rivals here this evening, but one that I wanted to see what we could maybe, see her debut at least.
Well, it's just that family.
Yeah.
We all know what comes out of that family, so it seems like now anyone that comes out of that family, you're just automatically thinking world champion.
Yep, and we're going to see some stars of tomorrow as well tonight, as plenty of 2-year-olds will be making their debuts, and it's time we dig into some replays, Randy, because I'm ready for this. We're going to do track plays. See, I'm so excited. I'm just getting ahead of myself right now. We got to look at the track plays, and why don't you take me through this, because you were here for the entire night of action. Is this basically how it looked all night?
Right. It's more or less formful. Like, I mean, my big thing is that I think that we kind of got to move that. Where are they at? Like, I honestly, myself, John, I'd like to do that exact same thing. The winners, but where were they at the quarter pole?
At the quarter, yeah, 100%.
That's where I'd like to see.
I'd even go, I mean, quarter pole or half, exactly.
Yeah, quarter pole or half.
Yeah, that's what I would like to see as well.
Because the head of the lane, it just seems, it's so fast on this track right now. If you're not within the top 2 or 3, you got a tough road ahead of you.
I couldn't agree more. I think sometimes there's a deeper story in what we see, right? A deeper picture. So I'm like you. I would like to see maybe them stem a little bit further back. Maybe something that we can kind of focus on.
At least the half, the 5/8,
at least the half. I would be okay with. I would be okay with that as well.
Yeah.
Okay, I talked about replays. We're going to get into the replay digging now, because we've got an 11-pack on this Monday night card. One that I'm pretty excited about. 2-year-olds that I'm looking forward to watching compete once again, and some 2-year-olds I'm excited to see making their career debuts. And there's one who made her career debut last time out, and that's the Rail Starter, Horse with a Plan. And if you want to talk about some reference points, Randy, a clean deal who went a big mile on, was it Friday night? Friday night, a huge mile.
Yep. And
she was third behind No Better Air, and that's Horse with a Plan as well. And she's taken some support here, and I thought that was a good first start.
Yeah, I did too. I mean, they didn't do much with it. Travis owns part of this one himself. And, just a bettor's delight. Had the nice 2 qualifiers in the first start. It was a good third. So let's take a look at this replay for last week for Horse with a Plan. And like I said, I liked it. Had the 3-hole, left out of there a little bit too. Only 29-1, but still moved forward on the gate. So you would think with the rail, should be able to get herself into a decent kind of a situation anyway. Not just rocket on out of there, but I don't think that she'll be, stuck too far behind. And comes up with a big last quarter. And like you said, real eye-opening here. A clean deal and No Better Air. Both horses, to me, have shown them very good racing so far, and she finished as a good third to this one. So I'm going to try her up on top in this opening grassroots. What about you? Where'd you go?
You know what? I went to the current lukewarm favorite at 5-2 Cattle Kiss, one that I'm intrigued to watch. I got a chance to speak to Guy Gagnon just as she was coming off from warming up, and he said there's no 2-year-old schoolers or in Rideau. So this filly had to qualify against older rivals. And I thought, I asked him, how did she handle it? He said, professional.
Oh,
really,
nice.
Likes her chances coming into tonight, and he's expecting a good effort from her.
And out of a Western Ideal mare, I love that cross. One that I think that come up with a pretty big effort in here, I think the morning line's way too heavy, is the 6-horse. Check this thing out, this one of Carl's out there, and look at the horses that this one's been competing against so far. This has got to be a huge drop down already, even a third lifetime start, and already you're missing some really tough company.
One that I definitely overlooked. Good post to work with. Like you said, much softer group. So she drew a maiden, but she drew a maiden against the likes of a Bet's a Bet and Venus and Serena, horses that came up with good efforts as well. Yeah, just some really good rivals there. So I overlooked her. I think she's got a good draw to work with, and I think she could be put forth a competitive try here, but I'm going to go to the direction of the Rideau shipper and Cattle Kiss and hope that she can win here at first asking. We're going to fast forward here to race number 2, and got a nice group here though, Randy. We've got some horses that are, kind of in between some grassroots tries, in between. We've got some gold caliber fillies as well, so we've got a 3-year-old fillies group, grassroots or prospect starters. Scratch of the 4 Incantation, and we're going to look at 2-1 morning line favorite Foxy Amy. we're going to get 2 scratches, actually. The 8 horse is going to be scratched as well. So scratch down to a field of 6. Probably going to be a lot easier now for a couple rivals, that being Foxy Amy and Little Sweet, who are, going to look to find themselves back in the winner's circle here as well.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually a little bit surprised that Paul went back to Dougie on this. Not because, it's a letdown as a driver. I don't look at it that way. I look at it more along the ways that I kind of thought that maybe Paul would kind of monitor along in the overnights and maybe, turn the stake races over to Paul or to Dougie if that's the group. But he did go right back to Dougie on Foxy Amy. So I think she's going to take a lot of looks in here. But I got her in for second. I mean, her last start in a gold. Obviously, this is going to be a big drop down for her. But Little Sweet, we've seen her do some gold racing before, and I think that she's really starting to turn a big corner here. I like the way that James raced her 2 down. He chopped a mile out with her. She got tired on the end of it. Next week, he goes back to the way that they were racing her from off of a helmet. She responded real well. So let's take a look at the replay on Little Sweet. I got her down as very good in this race, John. And another horse that I like, Foxy Amy, I got her in for second, but another horse that I have down is very good as well is Ocean View Rumors coming in off of her win. That was a first over effort for her to clear and to keep on going here. But again, let's take a look at Little Sweet here for James McDonald. Seen lots of air on the end of it. Remember, she had, was she not our super final champion, I think, last year. Yeah, so definitely got some ability there. Maybe didn't grow up quite as much as what they were probably hoping that she would. You always kind of hope that each year they grow a little bit, but she's got a great set of wheels, and she's not really going to have to face too much gold ability in here. It's down to a field of 6. He's got the outside with her, James. So I think he can do a lot of different ways. We can race her in a lot of different ways if he wants to. I'm kind of hoping he races her exactly the way that he just raced her in that last start.
I think you got to be confident if you're James giving her that kind of a trip and she was able to get the job done and draw away. You and I both trying to beat her in that effort. You went to PL Stevie, who came back with a win the following start. I went with another rival that just didn't work out for her, but yeah, she could be trending back to being a gold filly. I wouldn't be surprised if she ended up back there by the late summer. Really,
and the only one that she really has to worry about here gold-wise is Foxy Amy.
Yep.
You know what I mean? The rest of them are basically in her wheelhouse, the grassroots. So I think it's a good, she looks like to me like she's starting to improve again. So hopefully we see the best of Little Sweet. Where'd you go?
I went to Foxy Amy in this spot. She was raced in the gold. I think it was just a little bit too tough for her in that spot, but I think she came first over, I believe, in that effort though. So middle of the gate draw, I feel like she's going to be able to work out a pretty good trip. And as good as Ocean View Rumors was, I know that she can put forth a good effort, Randy, but you've got a couple of borderline gold fillies. I don't think she's quite there yet.
I agree with you. I got her in for third. I agree with you there. And the thing with Foxy Amy too that you got to like about her as well is, boy, you go 2 down, that 52-4 win is just glaring on this page because there's nobody that's within 2 seconds of that.
And that's kind of what forced them to go in the gold direction afterwards, if there was any. And she's capable. You ran into Mona Lee. She was ready for a big effort, and we know what she's capable of when she's on her game. So Foxy Amy, I'm looking her to bounce back here in what should be a softer spot. But again, the only one I'm probably overly concerned with is the 7 horse.
Foxy Amy could be coming out of this race tonight as the official dominant grassrooter.
Yep, I would say so. If that's the direction they want to go.
If she comes up with a big mile, you know.
If they want to go that direction, I completely agree with you.
She'd be a dominant.
All right, we're going to skip over to race number 5 here, and this is going to close out the early pick 5 sequence. Got a field of 9 and some interesting equipment changes here, Andy. I was really intrigued. I'm really intrigued with Wanda's Wonder going barefoot now. Yeah. We've seen Dagfinn Henriksen, when he does go barefoot, we've seen some good efforts by horses that he sends out. So one that I didn't factor in as a contender, but one that I think is someone that you definitely want to use at least for small or screw around with some exotics at least, because this, like I said, anytime we see that change from Dagfinn, we see a good effort from his charges. Morning line favorite, the 1 horse Bella Cavala. I thought that was a much improved effort last time out, and I think you seem to agree as well.
Last two efforts, she's been much stronger on the end of it, and we know what she's capable of when she's firing and on her game. She can easily down, the optional 50 claimers, in my opinion. Now she's going to come down into non-winners of 3,000. A year ago, if she was down in this class, John, she's a free square. You know, so I'm going to put her up on top. And again, I think the last 2 starts, there's been big improvement on her. Dougie Sticks, you know, this is going to be his 4th start with her, so I think she's in a real good spot. The one that scares me the most, John, is the one on the from the 8-hole Cold Snaps. I think she's again is starting to get a little bit better, and Blake's sending in a lot of shoeing changes on her tonight in front and back.
Yeah, I love that. I went with her on top. They added the trotting hopple. She seemed to have been able to stay together. I thought she was trotting sneaky good last time as well. I know maybe she got beat by 8 lengths, but she was never a factor by virtue of where she got away. You know, a couple of inside draws, but we've never really seen her get away too well from the inside. We've seen her get away a lot better from an outside draw, and I'm hoping that's a result of what we're going to get here this evening.
Yeah, and like I said, those shoeing changes, she's going to go from steel to aluminum up in front, making her a little bit quicker. She's going to go from aluminum to steel in behind, which should make her also, you know, a little bit more, can dig in a little bit more, not quite as jarring and an effort with those aluminums on behind. So I like her in there tonight. Another horse I think could come up with a big one is Victor Invictus. Yep. I mean, you know, he's down into his class, John. Whenever he gets down into the bottom class, he becomes ultra dangerous. I threw him in for 3rd, but wouldn't be surprised to see him come up with a big effort, and wouldn't be surprised to see Phil race this guy a little different style tonight.
You sent in a replay for the Rail Horse Bella Cavallo.
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
yes.
so one that if we can get a chance to look at her most recent effort there, so we can just see how you know, that she was motoring home or showing some trot late in the mile. And Randy, what do you see?
Well, I mean, both weeks when he moved her, she moved with authority, and we didn't see that for a while. It seemed like when anybody would move her, she was just kind of hesitant out there. But now, when she's getting moved, it seems like she's trotting up with, you know, with tight lines and making a good account of herself. So, you know, she doesn't go, you know, do anything that's going to really jump up here or anything. But to me, compared to what she was doing, I think her last 3 starts, she's just starting to show better and better. And like I say, the big thing to me is this big plummet down, you know, and keeping McNair. So I just like her in here tonight there. I think that a lot of ways for her to win this race and very few for her to get beat in this race.
Yeah, we haven't seen the same level of consistency from her as of late, but we know that she's capable of a good effort. It's just we never really know when. But to your point, a couple of good efforts, a drop down in class, it should be everything that she needs to find herself in the winner's circle here.
Yeah, exactly. And Dougie's choice.
Yep, Dougie's choice, most importantly, there here. And we're going to skip over to race number 6. Race 5 closes out the early pick 5. Race 6 kicks off the late pick 5. And we've got some grassroots action here for 2-year-old pacing fillies. We've got a field of 9 here. And I'm curious to see the debut of On Fleek. One, you're pretty familiar with the dam, Doc Sausalito, one that you've got a chance to sit behind plenty of times as well. And Nick Gallucci going to co-own this one with his dad and his better half. And Caroline's going to send out her first starter, I believe, since 2021. So hopefully she can find the winner's circle here, this daughter of Big Jim. And based on her qualifying effort, I think she's going to have every opportunity.
Yeah, yeah. This is quite a little cross here.
Yeah.
So I've sat behind Big Jim, I've sat behind Doc Sausalito, and I've sat behind Art Colony. I pretty well got it covered, except that I haven't sat behind On Fleek. Somehow or another, Caroline must have lost my number or something. Yep. She only wants James. We're going to show 2 replays in here, John. We're going to show the 2 and the 4. Which way are we going first, Javon? We're going to go with the 2-horse McBubbles, who's going to be my top pick in this race. Nice second, I thought, last week, you know, going to come back with the Pentland, Bobby McClure. They're really tough to beat when these 2 team up. You know, there always seems like they're on the same page and of how they're going to race these horses along. So here's, you know, at this point, we see a breaker towards the back of it. This is, I can't remember which one that is, but she looked like she was going to have a choice. But here you can see Bobby with the side-by-side. Now he gets a clear shot up the inside. He whistles at her once, and here she starts to make up some ground. You know, not going to be able to get the job done, but my goodness, I thought a real good effort in there. You know, first start for that girl. So I think that there's room for improvement in here. The filly that beat her there, Venus and Serena, I like her pretty good. You know, so I think that she lost to a good one and then had a bit of a jump on them. The 4-horse On Fleek, the one that you are saying that you want to see racing here. Let's take a look at what she's got. Now, she only has the 1 qualifier to work with, John, but the connections that have her, James driving her, middle of the gate draw. I threw her in for second, and I like the way that she races here. I thought it was a good effort. I mean, you just got to really watch James's body language, you know what I mean? You see everybody around him, they're chasing, they're asking, not him, you know what I mean? And it doesn't seem to matter if he's winning or if he's finishing fourth in the morning. He always seems to have the bit in their mouth, keeping them confident, not looking at it as a race like other people.
Like you said, great effort there. The body language, super. And unlikely that, I mean, you've driven in for Nick plenty of times, so he's not going to be sending, I'm sure he's got a training mile or a schooler or something under their belt instead of just the one qualifying effort, I would assume.
I wouldn't care what Nick's scoring about. I want to know what Caroline's got in her mind. That's where I'm looking to see, I mean, what does she want to do with him? But no, he always brings his horses to play. You know that, Matt. He's one of them guys that, even if they have a little bit of time off, you can still play them. He does not bring them here, when I drove for him anyway, he does not bring them here looking for you to give them an easy one, unless he's forced into it. Yeah. Sometimes you can be forced into that situation,
She sent out 3 starters the last time she had a few starts and 2 winners for Caroline. So hopefully she can get back in the winner's circle here with On Fleek, and it would be nice to see there. But definitely some other rivals that merit a lot of respect there. To your point, John Pentland and Bobby's Mick Bubbles, who's coming off a good effort as well. We're going to move over to race number 7, I should say. We're going to move on to race number 7, field of 7, and Randy, which dirty little piglet are we going to see? Because we've seen 2 lifetime marks over the last 3 tries. This guy is razor sharp. And that was a good effort last time. I mean, he just played Catch Me If You Can, and it seems that's his preferred style of racing. And I went with him on top tonight, but we have seen off a lifetime best mark when he stepped up against the 50s, it was a little bit too tough for him, though. So I think if he replicates a similar performance, he should be tough to beat, but I think there's some value players or maybe some horses that you can try and play against him in here too.
Yeah, I mean, for a variety of reasons. He draws the outside, coming up slightly in class, a little tougher bunch than the optional 30 maybe in his last start. And the other thing I think you can play against him is, that was an incredibly big mile. So can he come right back 7 days later and duplicate it? I don't know. Maybe he can, maybe he can't. I threw him in for second. I'm looking at it as, do I play him and he's going to be bet down to what, John? 2 to 5?
He's going to be a big chalk off that mile.
McNair, him, Des Tacour right now. So you think that he's going to take a ton of support. I decided to go How Mac Victor in this race. I don't think he's far off of any of these kinds of horses. And we're going to show you the replay, but we're going to go all the way down to June 7th for this guy. Now, he's in an optional 50 on this day, and he's going to win this. Now, he's got the 5-hole in this race that you're about to see now, and he's got the 5-hole in here again tonight. Now, since this race, he's raced 2 times. Once he had the 9-hole when there was a bunch of trailers that night there. He ends up getting away 12th, parked on the outside, nowhere to go in that race. Then his next start, he goes back to the 4-hole, and he gets away 8th. In my own personal opinion, I think Bobby was real tough on him on the 14th, and I think Bobby elected to race him this way, knowing full well that he'd been tough on him his last couple of starts. It just didn't work out into his favor, but I think he's going to be that much better tonight. He's got a better post position to work with than he had 2 down, and also a little bit of a drop down. He's getting away from that straight 50 claimer, going to move down into these 30 or 40s, but Bobby's coming with him, staying in the Kyle Fellows' barn. I just like him. I'm willing to take those last 2 starts and make them a toss and put them up on top in here. Where'd you go?
I went to Dirty Little Piglet, but I think that, again, I rated How Mac Victor, I believe, maybe 4th on my ticket. One that, he was winning in the 50s, right? So, and Dirty Little Piglet struggled with the 50s. So I think this is a pretty good pick on your part. I think, again, one that I probably rated a little bit lower than I should have.
Well, there we go. And what else in there? I think Major Fernco, nice little drop down for him. You know, he's going to start winning in Murner's barn, too. He won his first start there in an optional 50 claimer, and then 4th and 5th since then. Now he drops down. I say it makes him a little more playable.
Vis-a-vis Blue Chip, a razor sharp, but again, I think this is a much tougher here this evening. But one that has been racing really well since adding Lasix.
He has, racing very, very well since adding Lasix. And what about Let's Get Rocked? I'm looking at him as a down the road, John. Just kind of watch him the minute that he starts to really show something on the end of it, then maybe, because we know what we're dealing with, but right now it just seems like his form isn't exactly spot on.
He's always in the right spot. There just seems to be a horse, Cunning the Mile, who's got too much pony for him. That's the thing. So he's probably going to get away in a good spot again. It just he's going to have to find a little bit more, because that's how good those rivals he's been taking on have been over the last couple of tries. There's race number 7. We're going to move on next door to race number 8, and we've got more 2-year-old grassroots action for pacing fillies. We're going to be field of 8 here. Morning line favorite being Talbot Kristen, I should say. $162,000 yearling purchase there, daughter of Cattle Wash. I was impressed with her most recent qualifier. I thought it was a good effort, good showing there, one that I pegged on top. But you're going to go back to one that I thought raced fine in debut, and that was Chicanery.
Yeah, that's where I'm going to go in this one. So we're going to show you the last qualifier. You can see what this one did her first start. She ended up getting parked every step of the mile, but still coming a back half in 55-1. You got to give Travis some props on this one, because he didn't overdo it. But let's take a look at the qualifier that put her into this spot. Louis Waugh going to be going with her on this day. Again, daughter of Cattle Wash, coming out of the Dan Legacy Barn. Danny's going to make a change on her bridle-wise. They're going to take the blinkers off, and they're going to put her in blind with the middle of the gate draw. That almost makes to me that they're maybe showing their hand that they're going to come out of there with this girl tonight. And right there, you can see, she's racing good for Louis. She's going to make a little bit of a move here on the end of it. And, Louis, with the kind of the same style of James, he doesn't overdo it in the morning. So Chicanery gets that one start into her for Travis Cullen, ends up being parked every step of the mile. They're going to come right back to Travis in this race, and I think that he's in a good spot. I like Talbot Kristen. I got her in for third. The one I got between us is the 3-horse Cozy Bay Kiwi. I'm starting to think to myself that maybe somebody should reach out to George Millar and say, listen, why not just buy Big Jim, and then you can just breed them to all your own mares? Because, boy, I'll tell you something. This guy and Big Jim, George Millar, Nick Gallucci, and Big Jim are one of the greatest teams in harness racing I've ever seen.
Couldn't agree more. And they've had a lot of success, right, with that sire, breeding to that sire. So one that I think I wanted to see a little bit more in those qualifying efforts, but definitely based on the track record, I think that this filly, if she puts forth a good effort, we wouldn't be surprised. I think Brady Legacy did cite on X about a bit of steering issues, or that this filly was running in a little bit in her debut. So I think she can take a step forward here, but I'm going to go into the direction of Bob McClure and John Pentland. I love the body language of Talbot Kristen in that qualifying try. I know she didn't really make up too many positions, but in the lane, I thought that she was pacing as good as the rest of them in that field. And I think she could be good to go here at first asking. I've got her pegged as my winning debut.
Oh, nice.
So I'm hoping that she can get it done here. But Cackleberry, one that I'm intrigued to see as well, and as well as a couple others here. But loving these grassroots action here for the 2-year-olds, Randy. Just love handicapping these races.
I love handicapping them. I like more watching them. I like to see the progression, how they turn go from being like horses with their deer in the headlight kind of everything's new to becoming race horses. It's kind of cool.
I'm sure that it's more satisfying as a trainer and driver, as guiding them in that direction as well.
Yeah, it's like I always say, it's like being a coach in sports, watching kids develop. You know what I mean? That would be something.
Completely agree. And there's our thoughts there for race number 8, and we're going to move on to the finale, race number 11. Not sure where that jackpot high five number is exactly. 28.5. Okay, we've got a field of 11 here. Got a couple of horses that really stick out on back class, Randy, and they're the first and second choice on the morning line. The Greek Freak, installed as the 2-1 morning line favorite. He's going to be my rebound play this evening, spoiler alert, because I think that he got away in a pretty good spot at a big number, and he just ran into a horse that was, just went down the road, set some quick panels, and unfortunately he had to sit passenger for that, and I think he just got tired.
Yeah, I agree with you. I got him in for second. Now, that being said, I do think that even with the drop down, he's going to take a ton of support in here tonight, John. I think he's beatable. So I'm going to try to beat him in here. I agree. I think he's going to come up with a big effort, but I'm going to go with the 7 horse in this race, Nautical Hanover. We seen him years ago. I mean, Benoit Bergeron had him here. He acted like a real kind of a nice horse. Then he disappeared for a while, and he's came back, and just kind of seems like he's kind of starting to get that mojo kind of happening. So his last 2 starts, I'm willing to toss him. The last one at 10 hole, they didn't do much with him in there. The one before that, he had the 6 hole, but up in non-winners of 15,000. And if I'm a driver and I got the 6 hole and I'm, in non-winners of 15,000 with this guy when he's just starting to kind of come back, and I'm probably going to take a cautious approach too, and I think that's what happened. But let's take a look at June 14th, when he raced in non-winners of 9,500. Now, this is a couple of starts back, both in non-winners of, 15,000 that he was in 2 starts down. Much too tough, I think. But this, to me, was the first time that he showed a little bit of that Nautical Hanover that we used to see before. So McClure was driving him this night for Jacques Dupont. J.R. Plant is going to pick him up tonight. So I think he's going to be okay in here, too. But here, Bobby on the outside. And like I said, this, to me, was more of the Nautical Hanover. I can remember a few times when Benoit Bergeron had him. James would sit last with this guy and then just blast around them, And I thought it was a good move. And this was in non-winners of 9,000. Then, like I said, right after this race, he goes back up into that non-winners of 15,000. And, they give him a bit of an easy one. He never really gets into the race. In against horses like Codename Cigar Box and Gem Quality, to me, just much too kind of tough for him at that point. And then his next start, 10 hole. So now he's at the back again, now down into the very bottom class. I'm going to take a chance with Nautical Hanover.
And to your point, he's JR's choice in the race, but a horse that is dropping down, so it's not surprising that he's taking, this horse. But I think we're going to see a different approach from JR. I think now with the drop down in class, I think he's going to put him in play.
I
tonight.
agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
One that I think merits a lot of respect. I just like the post advantage there for the Greek Freak, which I think it is, because I think he can jolt out of there a lot quicker than Nautical Hanover.
He can, and the other thing is, though, is that we know what the Greek Freak brings.
Yep.
I mean, maybe his last couple, because he's had some time off, so maybe his last couple isn't exactly the one that we remember, but every time he races, he gets a little tighter, he gets a little bit more into his racing. Anytime we've seen him come back before, it usually takes 4 or 5 starts before you see his best, and that's when he's way up high in class. Tonight, Greek Freak races in the bottom of the basement. I say it's now or never for the big fella.
You're leaving at a bigger number last week, which Tyler did. I would expect a similar performance. To your point, both horses, the Greek Freak and Nautical Hanover, over the last 3 tries, coming out of some sub 50 miles there, right? I mean, some big miles for both of them. So I think this is a much, much better spot with them. And if either one of them show an ounce of back class, it's tough sledding for the rest of the group here.
Yeah, what's interesting in this last race too, quickly before we move on though, is I'm interested. I see Jeff Williams, who used to work for McIntosh for a long time, now out on his own, went up to Georgian and claimed Beyond Better back, a horse that at one time was racing in Bob's barn. Maybe him or his girlfriend Amber were looking after this horse, but he instantly raced good for Jeff. So way to go, nice to see. And I threw him in for a part of it.
Well, he spent so much time there again with Bob, and I'm sure he dealt with him on a week-to-week basis and whatnot. So to your point, no surprise that he claims missed a month.
Yeah.
He puts forth that kind of performance. So he was really, really good too in that effort. So one that I think is going to love the long stretch. We know that.
Yeah, and he might be one, because we see him race so much from off the pace. He might be one that you might want to throw around in your your jackpot high five, maybe on the bottom.
Absolutely. Okay, there's our thoughts on race number 11, and we touched on that there's a couple of pick fives here this evening, as there is on most nights, except when we have 13 races, we'll have a few. We're going to look at some of those pick five sequences, and we're going to get a look at your ticket, Randy, and let's take us through this ticket. You've got a pair of singles in race 3 and race 5, but you're going deep in race number 1. Take us through your selections and your ticket.
Yeah, I struggled a bit with this one. The Horse with the Plan is going to be my top pick in here, but I mean, it could have went a little bit different ways, and I think that this 6 horse could come up with a little bit of a different price as well. In race number 2, I am going to go 5-7 in this one, and that's going to be Foxy Amy, and Little Sweet's going to be my top pick. Now in race 3, I was actually going to single Larry Carr, but now I'm going to take his chance and single Head Honcho, hope that he's be able to come right back with a big effort. Race 4, 3 deep, No Better Air, J-Port Diamond for Horners. and not J4, No Better Air, and Dea, and Could Be Queen for the Gallucci stable. And in the race number 5, I'm singling Bella Cavallo. I think she's coming up for a big one.
I think your toughest leg is going to be race 3. Head honcho, I have on top as well. I know you like Larry Carr a lot. You were going to single Larry Carr?
Yeah.
So one that you were going to single. So you're going to have to hope that he can keep up to the pace and pick off some. There's going to be speed to chase again. See if
not
he can,
as much speed to chase. I
as
think
much,
he would have been in worse situation if Larry Carr was still in there.
Couldn't agree more there. And we're going to look at your late pick 5 here. You're going to close out the sequence with an all button in the last leg, but you're going to go 3 singles in race 6, 7, and 9. Let's hear about it.
Okay, race number 6, I'm singling McBubbles.
So it should be the 2, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I might have marked that. I marked that
problem.
down wrong. So the 6th race should be the 2-horse McBubbles. Will be my single in there. In race number 7, I am singling the 5-horse Howmack Victor.
Okay.
In race number 8, I'm going to go use all my picks in here: 2, 3, 5, and 6. Tough race I find in that one. Race 9, singling Logan Park. And then race number 10, I'm going to hit the all button. And the biggest reason, John, is that horse that I put on top, and that is the 1-horse Wheels on Fire. What are we going to get tonight? Now, normally, I don't know if I would be that worried about him, but it worries me a little bit when I see McNair down to drive B. Stoney, Rockabilly Rebel, not as much because he's in his dad barn. Bold Spirit from Maneri, and he goes to the very, very classy Wheels on Fire.
Who hasn't raced in maybe 6-7 weeks,
Yeah,
right? So
what
a
do
little
you
bit
do?
a little bit of a question mark. So he can show up on class alone, but I mean, I'm assuming he's got some tighteners under his belt, some training miles or whatnot. But I spread in that last leg too. I think that was a tough race. Booming Economy, which one shows up? The one from last week's got a big shot, but we haven't seen that in a long time.
And what bothers me a bit about Wheels on Fire too was it just me, or did you not see Wheels on Fire starting to become a little bit more like Wheels on Fire on the end of it, you know? It just seemed like his racing was getting a little bit better, and then all of a sudden he was shut down for a bit.
Yeah, and the last effort wasn't the most inspiring.
But he was shut down.
Exactly.
Could be
something,
sickness.
Something had to have gone amiss there as well, but we know his class can prevail here in this spot. Okay, there's our look at our thoughts here in this 11 pack and a couple of pick 5 ideas as well. But on the weekend, we're going to go to plays of the night first, and then we'll touch on the Meadowlands pace draws. And Randy, you touched on some of these horses, and let's hear it one more time.
Okay, so we're going to start with my all-in, and that's going to be race number 5. That's going to be Bella Cavallo. I love her tonight. Waples Watch is going to be race number 6, and that's going to be the 2-horse in there, McBubbles for Pentland and McClure. Worth a Look is going to be, Beat the Fave first is going to be Howmack Victor, and my Worth a Look is going to be Wheels on Fire. I'm putting them up on top. I'm going to roll the dice here, John.
Yeah, I like all your selections there. I think every single one of them have a really, really good shot, and ones that have shown in the past that they're capable of a couple of them showing in the past that they're capable of good efforts at their respective classes. My best bet here going to be No Better Air in race number 4. I liked her effort last time. You want to talk about reference point? You're going to the rail starter in race number 1. No Better Air was a runner-up finisher to Clean Deal, who we saw a big mile from last time out. Talbot Kristen, my winning debut, race number 8. My value play, Fashion Frenzy. Might be a tough ask with Logan Park back on a regular rotation. I'm convinced if he gets through, though, last time out, Randy, he might be a winner. And my rebound, the Greek Freak in the finale. I'm hoping that his class can prevail here. And what was, I think, a tiring effort there, and the fitness mile should really help him.
Yeah, I like your Fashion Frenzy look at it, you know what I mean? Because I agree with you there. I mean, he really had no shot last week.
And you want to see about difference in opinions in race number 10, a race that you and I both think is going to be tough. Kevin Ploucher going to want to be a big star spot play. I think he's got a shot. I think B. Stoney due for more with the Ghislaine Piquet. Couldn't agree more there. He's a contender. And Garnet Barnsdale going to go to PL Aussie. I think we're going to see another speed mission tonight. It's just a matter of does he keep going?
Yeah, that's the
I think that's
thing.
his best style, right? Go down the road.
It is, you know what I mean? But I just, the last start there, I just kind of, to me, he just kind of was showing a little bit of tenderness, let's say, put it that way.
Yeah, it doesn't always look the smoothest at times. All right, so speaking of the weekend that we touched on before, the Meadowlands pace draw took place on Saturday. We got some big news earlier today, unfortunately, with the scratch of Lou Print, who is going to be scratched after conducting an emergency procedure earlier in the day. So our North America Cup champion, who's going to be the one to beat in East Rutherford this Saturday night, is not going to partake. So we're scratched down to a field of 9. We didn't have eliminations to start off with, so we all 10 went straight to the finals. Morning line favorite is going to be Madden Oaks, even from the outside. I just, you know what, I didn't love what I saw from some of these other contenders in terms of their prep race at the Meadowlands per se. I thought Pappy's Pistol, I don't know if you saw that effort. He bounced back in a big way, Randy, but nobody else here out of the maybe main threats kind of impressed me with what I saw from them from a prep race standpoint. What are your thoughts?
I mean, it's I'm not going to say it's one of the toughest M1 paces that I've seen in recent years. I feel bad for Madden Oaks that he could have two really important races and he draws the outside in both of them. But we've seen with Braxton Boyd in when he had the 10 hole here, no fear, man, I'm coming out of there. And I think the same thing's going to happen on Meadowlands Pace Night with the outside. I think he comes out of there anyway. Whether he gets the job done, who knows? We certainly wouldn't be surprised, but I can honestly tell you, I'll be rooting for Braxton Boyd.
Yeah, and we're excited to see that
and
race.
Cam Capone.
A lot of Canadian hopefuls who are going to be participating on the undercard. We're going to see, I believe, Twinbee Joe Fresh and Sylvia Hanover. They should be squaring off once again. There's some other stakes race. We see the Houghton, Nijinsky. I'm curious to see how many divisions we get of that. Maybe there's one, maybe there's more, but busy card nonetheless. But we've got a busy night that we got to take you guys through here first with 11 on this Monday night, Randy, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go.